Hey kids, do you like fantasy baseball? So do I. Welcome to the Slapdick Podcast. Woohoo! I'm Tom, host of Fantasy
Tom?
Sports Addicts Anonymous. Woo! Joined by my co-host, Cubby Noel.
Hey, folks.
How's it going today, James?
Oh, it's going. It's a Friday. It's ready for the weekend to kick off here. I need to get out.
I understand. We're all feeling that, you know. Let's get out there and get some coronavirus, everybody. Woo! What are we doing today? We got ourselves into some trouble. We got ourselves a 30-team dynasty league that we're starting. Nate from @Dynasty One Stop on Twitter. The good Rev.
A good friend Nate is put this together. Great group of guys. I'm gonna forget a lot of names, but there's a ton of quality managers in here. We got Eric Cross from Fantrax. I think we have one or two other guys that write for Fantrax as well. Dynasty Dave, who's a hilarious character in the chat. He cusses as much as we do, but a lot of quality managers. The group DM has been just really, really active, which on one hand can be annoying, but on the other hand, you'd rather say, whoa than giddy up. You know, you like to see people already enthusiastic about it. So today, our invisible hand is due at 8 p.m. Eastern.
Oh my God.
And that helps us determine the draft order.
Well, let me.
Tom, would you like to go and explain folks a little bit about Invisible Hand?
Yeah, I'm Invisible Hand. I guess I don't really understand it very well. You just sort of throw some draft picks at it. Like it's a dynasty league, so you have a set number of keepers that you can retain from season to season. And so in order to select where you are in the draft, you will wager X number of keepers.
Correct. And this league is 60-man rosters, so 30 teams. That means 1,800 players will be rostered.
Oh my God, that's a lot of players, isn't it?
And you can risk up to 52 keepers, which means if you did that, theoretically, the next season in 2021, you'd have 8 guys on your roster heading into the next season where you gotta rebuild it. Now,
you better hope they're 8 quality players too.
So adding on to what you said, the invisible hand, it's invisible because obviously no one knows what each other's bidding. And Nate's running the whole thing. He's not even actually in the league, but he's taking care of all of the commissioner duties. And thank you, Nate. You're the man.
Always. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
So for picks 1 through 30, and a lot of, quote, experts like to do this for big dynasty leagues, it's really, helping you control your own destiny in a serious, I use that term loosely, in a serious dynasty instead of just, random slapdick. Like, it brings another element of strategy.
Yes.
On how you want to kick off this dynasty, where you want to slot, how many keepers you want to risk. And so 1 through 30 for each slot, you decide how many keepers you want to risk for that slot. So for instance, in the TGD or some big fantasy, some big industry dynasty, they did a similar thing. And I think Justin Mason, I think that was about 30 keepers year to year, or 35.
Okay.
And for instance, with him, he risked half his keepers on the number 1 spot. So like half his keepers on like Trout or Acuna.
Right. Yeah.
And then he risked less keepers downward, like, as he went down 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 spots were kind of descended as far as the keepers at risk. So that's what it is. Everyone submits those. You also put your preference, like, okay, I'm risking these keepers, and this is my preference for each, which I think the preference is kind of a waste, to be honest. And even Nate kind of admitted that, because if your preference doesn't match the keepers you're risking, that kind of doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like, whoops, you didn't get it.
It's kind of redundant.
Yeah.
It's kind of redundant. Like, if I'm risking 30 keepers on the 1 spot, guess what? The number 1 pick's probably my number 1 preference.
Yeah, like,
and so
that's
forth
the most I put on. Yeah.
As opposed to like, 30 keepers on the number 1 spot, but it's my second priority.
Yeah, I'd actually prefer to have, fifth.
Like, that makes zero sense. So it's a really fun way to determine where you begin the draft. And it also, of course, dictates your strategy. If you're risking half your keepers, let's say, well, you better be win now.
Yes. And that's, I think, all right. So I'd like to add, I never used to do this for startup dynasties. What I would, used to prefer, Ryan and I, when we still worked together, we always did auction for startup dynasty. It seemed like that was a very fair way to, again, because you're bidding, it's the same sort of idea. But like, this is like, how much you want to win, how much you want it. You know what I mean? And $20 buy-in. So if you're putting money on the line, right, you want to get a little serious about, like, okay, what are we doing here? And
yeah,
I think with any startup dynasty, your smart strategy is go win now. Like, it's always fun to ride the prospect tricycles, like, oh, look what we're doing. We got all the kids, but when you got money on the line, you gotta show up.
Yeah. When you got money on the line, and when the fragility of startup dynasties on the likelihood that they're going to last beyond a season or two, that likelihood's generally pretty low. Now, if you get in a group with a lot of managers that you trust and will kick ass, okay, maybe you feel a little more freedom to plan for the long term. And which isn't to say we don't have a good group here, as I previously mentioned.
Yeah.
But it's still a startup, and it's 30 folks, 30 lives.
That's,
where shit can happen.
You never know.
Somehow they can't play the next year. They need to get rid of leagues, or their wife hates them playing in too many, whatever it might be.
Yeah. There's so many reasons you might not come back, or if you just win the first year and then
peace out. Whatever.
You're like,
a lot can happen with 30 different people, And so I think between just the general fragility in dynasties and add on top of that it's a 30 teamer, like, the prudent thing to do, and the money, like you said, would be go win now. Like, if it was, for instance, our leagues, like you referenced, the 12 teamers.
No, those are
that's
casual
nice
as hell.
Cozy.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier, obviously, to keep a smaller group of people together. Like, I did a startup dynasty 2 seasons ago, and it was a 12-teamer. Now, it folded after year 1. Surprise, surprise. But I went into it thinking, all right, I got more room for error in a 12-teamer. I'm going to go tricycle. And it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it would have been nice if it kept going. But in something like this, I think you'd be probably better served to go win now, given all the variables at play in a league like this. But we'll see. There will be tricycle folks.
Somebody's going to have
30 people. There's not going to be 30 win now strategies. I mean, that's obvious. So
well, and I can't wait to see where this goes, where what people are intending to do, because as of tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, we will see most likely what anyone's strategy will be.
The results of the invisible hand, which might not be analyzed till the weekend, when that's revealed, there's no hiding you're not covering your cards anymore. They're face up. We know you're going win now, because based on how many keepers you risked for these certain spots, likely, you know what I mean?
Yes.
There are some people that could just want to get in the top 10 to grab a young person and kind of still maybe go tricycle. But for the most part, if you're risking a lot of keepers, it doesn't make sense to not go win now. Yeah,
you're going hard in the paint. And no secrets, that's definitely both of our strategies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's pretty evident. And, of course, the reverse is true. If you see a person that hasn't really risked any keepers for any slots, well, they're a wild card. They could do anything, but it wouldn't shock you if they went tricycle, because they have all their keepers. Yeah. Or they have the majority of their keepers going into the next season. So everyone will have a good idea what everyone's going to do, or at least a better idea. Yes.
And there's a handful of people just looking at the draft room here, or just seeing the names here. I know I know who's win now, just by knowing people's draft preferences and having played with some of these people. Obviously, we've got a few addicts from the home leagues. We got Todd, Goldie Happens, Hey Evan Shaw, and Joe Deef.
Yeah, and he usually leans win now.
Joe, man.
And then we got
besides
Reese
you,
for the 6-man rotation.
Oh yeah, that's right. Reeskis. What's up, buddy?
Yeah. And Reese is a prospect town, but I've seen him draft win now, so there's no telling what Reese could do.
Reese is a wild card.
He does what people should ought to do, which is kind of just whatever the draft kind of brings him to start. He kind of just forms his team around that. He doesn't force anything. At least it seems like that when I draft with him, because I've seen him go tricycle. I've seen him start out with 2 veteran pitchers like DeGrom and someone else. Like
the mock draft we did.
Yeah.
Oh man, that we did just finish a mock draft, and then that's how this
30-teamer. But that was literally half the size. That was 900 players drafted because it was a mock. We're not going to go.
I mean, I'll be honest.
Ridiculous, but
I'll be honest. I'm intimidated by the roster depth. Like,
I mean, that's crazy.
Again, there's 750 players in Major League Baseball.
Actually,
maybe a little more now.
26
now
this year,
and it may even be more than that. Who knows?
Because of the shortened season, expanded rosters.
But so you think about that, and you're like, wow, we're really going to be
deep
scraping the barrel.
And that's where some of these prospectors that are, I think we can both admit, are far more knowledgeable than us when it comes to prospects. Like when we get into like the 1,000 and beyond, they're going to be like fucking pig in the mud. They're going to be slopping it up and loving it. And we're going to be like scratching our noggins like, which 17-year-old should I stash here?
I think I should you're just going to be like, I'll take a relief pitcher instead.
Yeah, because even if you're like if you're a casual manager, or even someone like us that's we have a good amount of knowledge. We're not experts. No. We're industry slapdicks.
Yes, we
have a good grasp on Dynasty. Still, the player pool and the draft really starts to get a little fuzzy around pick 900 to 1,000. Even for us.
Yeah, and you're gonna be. That's where you're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna learn what people are doing here. I'm gonna take a few notes. Not necessarily that it's gonna help me in this draft, but it's like, I'll pay attention because I'm curious to see what, where other people go and what they do, and how are they drafting here at this point? Because I'm now in the fucking tall weeds, I got lost somewhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I guess we should also mention about the first-year player draft. The draft is just wrapped up, I think.
Yes.
And in our Dynasty draft, we can't touch those. That'll be a separate 5-round draft later.
Which is brutal. Like I feel like, especially in this situation, I feel like since it's already sort of happened, you should have free reign on those players. Like I tell you what, I'd be damn tempted to take Spencer Torkelson.
Yeah, of course. And it's funny seeing Twitter last night with a lot of these guys in the league tweeting and reacting to all these picks. And I'm like, who's that fucking guy?
Yeah, I've never heard of this slapdick.
Yeah, because beyond Torkelson and a few other names, I had done no FYPD research.
No, well, because
I just haven't,
I haven't, again, with the baseball season being in question and COVID and all this other stuff. I haven't paid as close of attention as I might otherwise. And I know some names. I do have in the FFO league, I have a Torkelson share. That's probably the only one I'm going to have ever, but I do think I'm like, oh gosh, this first year player draft is going to get nuts. And so that's, do we know when that's happening? Is that in
the Dynasty League?
Yeah.
Not for certain. I mean, I know a lot of Dynasty Leagues like to do that. And I think a lot of them like to do that in the winter, like November, something like that. I think typically, or January, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
I think because they were talking about it, they like to wait for, okay, let's get past the international signing dates and let's get past the J2 stuff. And so I think it's usually done winter or something somewhere around there. So that could be far off. But what's going to happen is there's 30 folks.
Yeah.
One slapdick is going to draft the Torkelson. or someone
the
like that.
first
You
round.
know it's gonna happen.
If he's in the player
You
pool,
know
somebody's
it's
gonna be like,
fucking happen.
What do you mean I can't draft him? Like, did you read the league constitution, bro?
Yeah, and that's the other thing we should mention. With the league of this size, well, any dynasty league, but especially a league of this size, Nate drafted a constitution, and those are good to have because that means everyone
It's spelled out.
has to read and sign it. So if shit goes sideways, it's like, no, buddy, the rules are right here. You read them all, and it's very specific. Yet people still haven't read it, so they're still like, "Hey, what's this rule?" Nate's pulling out his fucking hair. Like, go read the goddamn Constitution, you fuck. It's like, that's why I fucking wrote it. But yeah, constitutions should be a part of every dynasty, especially if it's any kind of like half-ass serious league.
Yes. And I'll admit I have no constitution for my leagues. It's pretty much laissez-faire, but it needs a constitution because even as like just comfy little cozy home leagues, right? There's still like, it's like people ask me all the time, like, so wait a minute,
what's the rule on this?
How many do I keep? Like, it's like, oh my Lord, like it's been the same every year, you know? And that, you know, especially when you've got more managers, 30, it as a commissioner, this is probably why Nate doesn't even want to play the league. Obviously, he's got to do the invisible hand, but he just doesn't even want to like have to deal with that many people slapping it up, you know? Like, hey,
it will happen. I remember in the Dynasty League I commissioned, that's a few years old now. I remember when we moved players, we drafted on tracks. I moved them to Yahoo for the first year because no one was comfortable with the app at that point. I remember I said it, I don't know how many times, do not take fucking the Ohtani that's sitting out there.
Yeah,
because there was 2 of them on Yahoo.
Yeah, like
I said, he's already spoken for. Don't fucking take him. First thing that happens, Colin Weatherwax
Schwax
adds fucking Ohtani right off the bat. I'm like, you fuck.
Damn it! Like, why weren't you paying attention?
Yeah, it's like, how many times I fucking say it in the chat? Jesus fucking Christ. So anyways, there's a lot of moving parts, but I'm excited because, you know, by tomorrow, Sunday, we'll see the results of the visible hand, where we're drafting from.
Yeah.
You know. And so, needless to say, we probably won't post this till that's posted.
Yeah.
Newsflash, folks, we're going win now.
We're going win now. But, you know, we'll talk about that for a little bit. Like, again, I think we can, you know, we'll obviously edit the podcast, do all that kind of thing. But, like, what is your like immediate strategy? Like, obviously, like you've selected, you know, or you've bid on.
I've risked X amount of keepers.
Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm not going to, you know, obviously say the.
Yeah. Well, I don't need your
keepers
full.
I'm risking.
Yeah.
But it's pretty standard. I didn't sit down there with a, you know, fucking abacus and you know,
like sliding the beads,
sliding the beads, trying to figure out what. You know, I just gave it kind of a cursory glance, asked a friend or two about what they thought, looked at previous invisible hands from other dynasty leagues, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to keep it simple. I want a top 10 dynasty asset, hopefully. You know, that's kind of what I'm going to shoot for, so I'm going to have to bid kind of aggressively, more than likely to get it. And then if I don't get that, I really don't care about any of the middle picks. So my other priority beyond the top 10-ish would be, you know, near the turn. So near the, you know, 28, 29, 30. And I think that's probably going to be a lot of people's strategy. Like, I'm not reinventing the wheel here, but it's pretty just simple, straightforward on win now. Well, I don't want to be at the turn because the turn is very effective. If I miss out on the top, because obviously the turn's very helpful in roster construction. We can just go boom, boom. Yeah, the wait in between sucks. But at least you can just, you know, get 2 guys real quickly. And go from there.
Yeah, I'm all about the turn. Like, if I can be on the turn, like you said, you control your destiny a little bit more than you would otherwise, and you being able to like do that double tap. You know, you're like, okay, now I have a clear idea of what this roster is going to look like. Whereas if you're in the middle, you're in no man's land.
Well, in a league of this size, yeah.
Yeah, you're like, I hope something swings back around to me. Like when we did the mock draft, I was slot 18?
Yeah, I was like 13, so close to the middle.
Yeah, so we're both relatively close in the middle, and it was just like I felt like I was on an island. Like every time, like it was my pick again. Like I mean, I still did end up getting what I thought was an okay team, but it was just so unpredictable.
Yeah, on a 30-teamer, you are on an island, whereas in a 15-teamer, we don't mind being in the middle because obviously the weight between picks is only 15, 16, 17 picks every single time. Like, you're not really going to miss too many runs. But when you're... I'm not going to eat a lot. Okay. Sorry.
I was not eating anymore.
Yeah. But when your pick weight is like 30 and 35 picks, you're waiting in between turns. You're going to miss things, a lot of things.
Yeah,
so yes, the middle is not really where I prefer to be in a league this size.
Yeah, I can't like if I'm stuck in the middle, like I'm gonna be like, oh God, oh somebody just throw me a life preserver here, because like again, if it's a smaller league, I don't care where I'm at. Honestly, I feel comfortable drafting like 12 teams, 15 teams, whatever, anywhere. You could just put me anywhere. I don't care. I'm sound as a pound, right? Like this situation, you have to be aggressive about controlling your destination, especially if you're win now or you have a very specific strategy. Like, you are going to do the tricycle, right? Like we know there's somebody that's like, yeah, I want that last pick right there, 30. And I'll just
I want a Eloy Hura double tap.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah, and like the other thing I've been thinking about, because in the mock that we did, like I felt like my middle infield really sucked. Like I had a really awesome outfield. I was cool with that, But like I want to make sure personally that I get something in the middle infield locked up as early as possible. And I need to get some starting pitching. Like if you're winning now, you can't be like, yeah, Carlos Carrasco, that's my first starting pitcher.
I guess we should say the roster construction. It's not the standard that we play with 5 outfield, middle corner. Because of the league size, it is the standard positions in the infield, and then 3 outfield, 1 utility, 9 universal pitching slots, and then 32 bench spots.
Jeez. And that bench is just, to me, honestly, like...
But no NA slots.
No NA. You can't have NA slots in a dynasty league. Nope.
But hopefully these folks can still have a farm system with 32 bench spots.
My Lord. That 32 bench is absurd. And honestly, I have no problem putting all of that on the line for where I want to draft.
I think a lot of people, that's just kind of a simple line of demarcation for keepers at risk. I think a lot of people are going to do that. Like,
I think so.
Let's risk my whole bench. Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. Yeah, 32.
And honestly,
32 on red.
That might be what it takes to get a top 5 pick or a top 3 pick.
I think so.
I mean,
again, I'm going to be excited to see somebody. Somebody's going to go fucking balls to the wall, like just like
40 keepers.
No. I mean, we were talking about this last night, and I was like, "What do you think?" It's like 35 sounds like too much. It feels like a lot, but like 40, that's like okay, whoa, bro. Like, but then again, I mean, we don't know how long this dynasty is gonna last. If you're gonna win that money, like you get, I don't know, like you might have to just like get a little creative up there at the top of your queue, or like I think I'd like to get first pick overall. how much is first pick worth? You know, like
I mean, that's a thing I was thinking about last night. Like, there's a lot of appeal to starting at the bottom at that turn, and pick 29, 30, whatever. Double tapping. There's a lot of appeal on that. Theoretically, starting out with 2 top 30 dynasty assets. Theoretically.
yeah.
But with 1,800 players rostered, an Acuna or a Trout become even that much more valuable.
I think so too. And I will say this, the majority of the 30-team leagues I've done in the past have been like basketball, that kind of thing. So again, the talent pool is much smaller. I don't feel like having like Karl Anthony Towns actually made my team, because then I was like, well, now I'm just waiting. I drafted some of those teams incorrectly probably in the past.
In hindsight,
but, yeah, but like with baseball, it's a different animal. So it's like if you get that like just rock solid, if you've gotten Acuna locked down, I mean, barring injury, hey, let it ride. You're gonna have a good time with that because so you wait. You got Acuna, just kick back and let whatever comes back to you, whatever your strategy is going to be. If you're going to go pitcher, maybe with your next pick.
Yeah, then pick one, and then your next pick is pick 60?
Yeah, you're just kind of like, yeah, I don't know if I want to be on that end of the turn, but I don't want to be at the ass end of the turn either. So like I said, I don't want to be in the middle. I don't want to be totally on either turn, but like pick 5 to me seems like, I don't know why 5 just feels like a lucky number today. I don't know, like bet the house on 5,
Well, I guess we could talk about that. Like maybe like in no order, maybe like our top 10. I don't have my computer in front of me. I'll try and in no order just name top 10 dynasty assets. So what we're shooting for, essentially, what you and I are shooting for.
Okay.
Acuna, Trout, Yelich, Bellinger, Lindor.
Story.
Might even throw Story in there.
Oh, absolutely, Story's in there.
Soto.
Soto a little bit less for me.
Well, this is OBP Dynasty. I guess we should say that too, folks.
Okay. So 6x6 categories, yeah.
Yeah, 6x6, OBP slugging, and then the rest of the normal ones like runs,
Saves,
RBIs,
hold.
stole bases.
Yeah.
And it's save, hold, and quality starts.
Okay, so
you have some flexibility. So Juan Soto is probably a top 3 guy in this format because of OBP.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I don't know if I named.
Are bat flips a category? Do we get to score that?
Yeah. So, like I said, I can pull up my computer, but those are the type of the names that if you want, you need to jump in that top 10, of course.
Yeah, and just like outside of that, maybe you've got Tatis. Yeah,
we'll be right around that 10 range.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what you'd be looking at. Like again, if you've never done a 30-team league, you must be thinking like, whoa, this is going to be nuts. It is going to be nuts. But, just when you're thinking about like, what do you really want to prioritize? Those are some of the names. And I could see maybe adding a few pitchers to that list. But even then, it's so risky. Like in the mock draft, like with 18, I think I took Garrett Cole number 1.
Yeah, it's hard to blame you at 18.
Yeah, he fell that far, but I don't want to start this team with a starting pitcher. So I'm definitely going to be like looking for starting pitching as early as I can get it, but not first thing overall. And if I end up doing that, okay, I'll probably be able to figure it out. Like, yeah, I can't see. I can't see, like, I mean, there's so few names that you would want to...
Mookie Betts.
Okay, Betts, yeah.
Betts would be... mention.
Yeah.
Like, these are all guys at the tippy top. And then when you get to the middle of 30, like 15, 16, 17, all those guys, you're still getting really good players, but not quite as elite.
Yes.
Or maybe not quite as young as some of those other guys we mentioned at the top. I mean, they're still young guys, but like, at the very tippy top 10-ish, you're either getting super elite or very good and super young at the same time. Like one of the two.
Like maybe a Yordan Alvarez should be in the list.
Yeah, he'd be somewhere in the middle of the first round in this 30-teamer. Judge, Bichette, Walker, Buehler, Gleyber Torres, maybe towards the back end of the round.
Yes, and I could see somebody like going crazy and taking a Wander Franco.
Yeah, Wander Franco could go.
I don't have a problem with that.
In the middle of the round.
I mean, like, again, we don't know if we'll see him this year.
But we should see him next year at some point.
Yeah, and hopefully, again, if you're like, again, you go into these leagues with the best of intentions, so you're not going to be like, I drafted Wander Franco, and oops, like, I'm sure this league will go at least 2 seasons.
I would hope.
I mean, I can't imagine it's going to just fall off the map. There's too many good names in here. I mean, even just like, if like a few people dropped out, like you could plug in, other addicts, from our home leagues or whatever that are not, maybe already in this, you could plug them back in. Again, there's only one idiot who hasn't paid his league dues yet. Hi. That's me. Surprise, surprise. Hey, it's Deadbeat Tom. Hey! Hey, kids. Somebody got $20 I can borrow? Oh, man. That's all right. We'll get it figured out.
Yeah, you got about 6 hours.
Yeah. It'll be just
figure
fun.
It out.
It'll be just fun. I think though this is going to be like a really interesting draft. Just we'll obviously update the progress, like as it happens. Nate is talking about, how should we do a live stream? There was talk of a Zoom hangout. Yeah. And I think Zoom, the only way you can upload to YouTube on Zoom is like 9 participants. Like, and that's like you only get like a handful of free Zoom uploads or so. I don't know exactly how it works, but 30 people in one hangout, one chat. I mean, you've seen the league DMs on Twitter. Yeah. It's just crazy, like constantly going. So like in a 30-person hangout, oh man.
That'd be crazy. The Zoom screen would look like
like
that scene in the Matrix where Neo's talking to that old dude. Where there's just a billion TVs on the wall. Yeah. Like that's what it would look like.
Yeah, pretty much.
It'd be like the Brady Bunch times 5.
Yeah, here's a story of a 30-team dynasty.
Yeah. And everyone's talking heads up. They're like, hey, look at the great pick I made. I'm so proud of myself.
Check it out, guys.
But it would be fun. I mean.
Yeah, I think he was talking about doing something maybe a little more commissioner-esque where he's got like a little green screen background kind of thing, and like he's announcing the picks as they come in, like, okay, and now
coming up to the podium.
Yeah, coming up to the podium. Yeah, the pick is in, and at the 5th slot Tom has selected X, Y, or Z player. I
mean, it's fun. We're trying to bide our time till hopefully the season begins. I mean, so trying to fill it any way we can.
I'm sure everyone's doing that. It's just it's like we've gotten a little bit of positive news today, I suppose, in the realm of baseball, and that's maybe we're gonna have 80 games.
Yeah,
and extended playoffs.
Yeah, well, 3 days ago the players had offered 89 or something. Today the owners finally came back with like 70 something and like 80% prorated or something like that.
Yes.
I don't know, but they need to find a way to get it done because I'm sure there's a lot of folks that are just like, piss on baseball. I don't even care about this season.
Yeah, I'm almost at that point. Like honestly,
there's been some days where I'm like, fuck it, I don't even care.
Yeah, and like honestly, that was some of my I'm like, do I really want to take on another dynasty, especially this year? Like, you if you're listening at home, you probably think that too. You're probably like, I don't know, man. You guys are crazy. We are, but like you're probably missing baseball as much as we all are. You know, you've seen all the classic games they're showing on YouTube and all that stuff. You've watched like the Taipei League. You've watched Korean baseball, but it's just not the same, man.
It's not. And for like April and May, there was mocks I saw on Twitter. I didn't partake, but then when Nate came along with this mock this month, I was like, all right, I've had enough withdrawal. I need to do something.
Yeah. Well, yeah, your draft skills are getting rusty, you know, at this point.
So I participated, and then it was fun, and I know this will be a blast. Also, I don't think we said this is a Roto league.
Yes.
Yeah, this is Roto.
So this is, you know, it's not head to head where it's just like some like random, you know, like, oops, my team shit the bed that week in the finals. And like, I don't know how how did I get through that? Like, or how did I lose that, you know?
Yeah. And I don't know if we said this last podcast when we were talking about the shortened season, but I feel like with the shortened season, like if you can pull off Roto, go ahead and do it. Because head to head is already a flip of the coin a lot of the time, you know.
Yes.
But over 162 games, you still kind of find out who are the better teams in head to head. But the short season, head to head, I mean that's just so much volatility and so much variance. Like Roto seems like it becomes even more important in a shortened season. Like that's the way you should probably go.
We've talked about this. I think I tweeted about it. You brought it up in your league DM. Like we have discussed that for our home leagues in the sense that, you know, maybe just for 1 year instead of being head to head.
Just make an exception.
Yeah, we'll call it Roto this year. And, you know, I'm still on the fence about it, but like it wouldn't hurt my feelings if we went Roto. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. For this year, it just makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, it might hurt my feelings if we added NA slots though. And it might hurt some people's feelings if you don't add NA slots. I mean, again, I'm willing to be open as a commissioner here at this point because, you know, this year's so unlike anything else. You know, I mean, like there is a labor issue and a ownership versus labor issue, but it's not the strike of like, what was it, 94?
Yeah.
So it's you know, it's not exactly that, but it's just like, you know what, let's just do what's best for competition this year within our leagues. And you want to give everybody like fairly equal opportunity, fairly equal footing. And what I've noticed, like I'm looking around the home leagues, you know, there's a lot of teams that were like maybe like write-offs a year or two ago that are like, wow, that's going to be a damn good team. You know, so sure. Like if you open up that competition, all the more that you have that competition, that makes it just better to me, you know? So again, this is a 30 team that we're talking about here today. There's going to be a whole mix of like insanity, like tricycle riders. We're going to have like the mid-tier just stuck in the doldrums teams, like, which I really don't want to get stuck with. And then you're going to have some like going balls to the wall, hard in the paint type teams that's where it's going to be interesting to see this year. So, I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, this is a very, very aggressive, dynasty offering from our buddy, the good Rev Nate, at Dynasty One Stop on Twitter. And, you know, we're all very excited, looking forward to this. I think, you know, everybody in here is knowledgeable. You know, I've had people ask me about like, what's my strategy? What's your strategy? You know, like, and I think a lot of people are just, you know, I think a lot of us are on the same page. Like, let's go hard. Let's win now. So that's where, like, you know, tonight, tomorrow, whenever we find out what the invisible hand is, you know, there's going to be somebody that puts 50 up or 52. There's going to be something insane. Some guy that's just like, fuck it, I want Acuna.
That would be crazy.
Oh yeah, but you know what? Like, can't blame him. You know.
Yeah, I'm trying to think in the Prospects 365 Dynasty League we're in. I can't remember what the winning keeper bid was for the top spot, and I want to say it was less keepers. It wasn't. I think we have maybe 40 keepers in that league, so around there. I can't remember what someone risked, but I think it was in the 20s.
Okay, so they put up like half the team.
I think something like that. So,
I mean, I'm all right.
I'd expect at least half everyone's keepers to be the top spot at the very least. But I fully expect to see someone go like 30 or more, 40 or more. Who knows?
Oh, I can tell you already. I've gone 30 or more.
Yeah, exactly.
So. Yeah, like let's just without any spilled beans or whatever, like that's So somebody, and I know somebody's gonna go crazier than I will. So, but like that's what's gonna be funny, man. And you know that league DM is just gonna explode with insanity, like just laughter, like, oh my god, did you see what dude did?
Yeah, what he risked. Yeah.
That'll be fun. That'll be fun conversation too. So this is like,
but I guess the next time we'll hop on is when this draft kicks off. Maybe a couple rounds in, we'll
give updates.
We'll talk about it.
You can always check out, our Twitter profiles, all that kind of thing. I suppose we should just wind it down. We don't need to wax on forever about pre-draft nonsense and nothing.
No,
there's no happening.
Wrap her up.
Yeah. But yeah, so feel free to stop by my website, fantasysportsaddicts.com. You can always hit us up on Twitter. My good friend, my co-host James at CUBBYNOLE, Cubby Knoll on Twitter. And of course, I am at letter F, letter S, the word double, letter A, FSAA. And as always, what I like to do is close with the Fantasy Sports Serenity Prayer, because serenity now, more than ever. Fantasy gods! Please grant me the serenity to set my ideal lineup, courage to add drop aggressively, man.
To survive 1,800 picks.
Oh my god. And as always, make good trades. That's it for us, kids. You guys have a good weekend, good draft, and we'll see you. We'll see you on the fantasy baseball field.
Bye-bye.
See you later, kids.